Hello, guys. Welcome to the ATM Podcast. My name is Munashe Kirimi. I'm with Thabang and Munashe today. Unfortunately, our Bakwe couldn't make it. We're just gonna do things a little bit differently in this episode, but before I get to that, just please give us a follow on our social media pages. Our YouTube is the ATM Podcast. Our Instagram is at the ATM Podcast. And please like, share, and subscribe on our Apple Podcast page and our Spotify page where we release all of our episodes. With that out the way, I would just like to, before we get to what we're going to cover, extend a trigger warning. What we're going to talk about has themes involving sexual assault and domestic violence. So if you are not comfortable with that, I'd advise not listening to the audio any further. So with that out the way, we are going to be talking about Mason Greenwood. So for context, in January 2022, audio was released by Mason Greenwood's partner where it seemed as if he was attempting to rape the lady. And there was also photos of her being bruised and bleeding, where she said that Mason Greenwood had assaulted her and beat her up. After this, Mason Greenwood was basically banished from the United First Team and hasn't played a game since. That was in January 2022, and we are basically in May now. And then recently, the charges against him were dropped because apparently there was witnesses that dropped out, and basically the charges are dropped, to keep a long story short. And again, on more recent news again, it was also reported that Mason Greenwood has confided in some friends and said that he is done at United and has accepted that he will never play for them again. So we'll just give our thoughts on the situation and we'll see what the future holds for Greenwood. So before I get to my thoughts, what do you think, Thabang?
All right. With the prospect of Mason Greenwood possibly never putting on a United shirt again, he has expressed that he is interested in resurrecting his career, and numerous sources have mentioned that clubs in Turkey might be interested in being the club to help Greenwood achieve that goal. My personal opinion on it is that I'm very saddened that this news had to happen, and personally I'm as a United fan, I feel like we should pull out and we should maybe allow Greenwood to go and play abroad. And also, I don't know how they're going to get the deal done, because it is also, it has been mentioned that United might look for a fee for Greenwood in case he does leave. So, with relating to that, it doesn't make the transfer for Greenwood any easier if clubs are going to have to pay a fee for him. I think that Greenwood would have been amazing for us personally, especially if you look at Manchester United's rotation in an injury-prone Anthony Martial and a subpar Weghorst. I really think he could have thrived at this club. It's just unfortunate the way things planned out for him. But having said that, man, how do you feel about it?
For me, similar to what you feel actually. When the news broke, I was very disappointed. When the story and the details came out, I felt that this guy will never play for United again at the time. And it's just very disappointing, man, because it's a talented footballer.
Yeah.
And now I don't think he should ever play for United again.
Yeah.
Because, yes, the court case is over, but we've all heard the recording. It's 100% his voice in that recording. We've seen the pictures, and both of those things are very disturbing. Personally, football is very morally bankrupt. We've had racists that still play football. We have alleged rapists that are still playing, allegedly, just to put that out there.
Yeah.
We also had a World Cup in Qatar with very hideous human rights abuses. So I wouldn't put it past it for Mason Greenwood to have a football career. But with the report that came out, I don't think he'll have a career in England because of the media scrutiny.
Yeah.
And the fact that, how do I phrase this? Basically, people want women to be heard. If he plays again, there have also been stories that the women's team at United wouldn't be happy.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a PR nightmare for United if he were to come back. So his career is done. But I think if he goes to Turkey, like you said, there's less media scrutiny.
Yeah.
You can play again. Whether he should play again for any team at any level, whether it be Championship or League One or even non-league, personally, I don't think he should, because again, while the charges are dropped, we've all heard the recording. I don't think he should play football again. But football is morally bankrupt, so I do think he will be given another chance at football, and it'll be Turkey. And if he does well in Turkey, I don't know if he'll ever go to a top 5 league again. I think England is just a lot of media scrutiny. Germany, the fans there would probably chase him out the club to the point where if any club does try and sign him, the backlash would just be too much. In La Liga, I think it'll be much of the same, as well as in France. And the other top 5 league is Portugal, right? In the last of the top 5.
It's Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A,
Premier
League, and who's the one that I just forget now? Did I mention La Liga?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So basically, at a very good European level, I think he's done. He'll probably go to Turkey. If Turkey doesn't work out, he'll probably play in some Middle Eastern country.
Yeah.
So he does have hope, but that's mostly because, as I said, football is morally bankrupt.
Yeah. And also to touch up on it, man, I don't think it's a big surprise that the charges were dropped, because it's also been reported that the couple are still together and that they are expecting a baby, as well as planning on getting married as soon as even 2024, believe it or not. So, I don't think it's a coincidence that the charges were dropped against Greenwood. And also, to touch up also on the English media scrutiny that you were talking about, we've seen this happen to many other players. I think that's a subject for another day, where we might be able to name all the players that were involved and whose careers ended up bad because of the English media. But it's the same also for a player like Mendy, whose charges, I think had 7 charges dropped out of his 9. And I don't think even he has a chance of coming back to football because of all the scrutiny. I think he might have to go to a league outside of any of the top 5 leagues. So maybe, like you were mentioning, the Middle East or Turkey. That does make sense. But yeah, it's just overall, it's just a disappointment. But it's good to see that he's trying to resurrect his career. Hopefully, he would have learned from his mistakes, and he only has and he only has to think forward. Going forward, he just has to think of being better. I don't think he can go back and try and rescue his image, because it's not gonna help him come back to the top 5 leagues and play at the most competitive level where he, in my opinion, where he deserves to be. But it's just overall a big disappointment, man.
You're correct. It's a big disappointment. And hopefully, I don't think there really is a happy ending, man.
Yeah.
Because you've still got a victim out there. And you've also got a guy who, for whatever reason, I don't know what his motives were for the pictures and the recording. But I don't think we'll ever have the full picture because we don't know what happened in court.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there will ever be a silver lining to this, like you say. So that's pretty much my thoughts as well. So is there anything you'd like to say to round it off?
No, I think we've touched up perfectly well on this topic. With that said, please tune in to future episodes of the ATM podcast. We will be releasing more episodes every Tuesday and Thursdays, and I think also just be sure to follow our social media accounts like Munash mentioned at the beginning of this video, and we will see you next time. Peace. All right.